Hey guys, I am here at the studio for a very special bonus presentation video. I am here with the homie. He's been on the show for the most times on the Rodriguez Show.
Just keep coming.
And we're here to talk about Skyfall. This is Kid Vista. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. Yeah, this is not a regular show segment. We're just hanging out in the studio.
Yeah, kicking it.
Yeah.
Kicking and digging.
How you been, man? I know that the past year, life has been like changing for you.
Yeah, man, it's definitely been like a big transitional period.
Yeah.
That sounds weird to me. But yeah, there's just been a lot of changes within the last couple, like 2 months even. It's been pretty crazy, but all things considered, it's been good.
Yeah. Nice. Do you feel like you're in a better place than you were?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a lot less stressed, but there's always room for growth, room for improvement.
Yeah. So yeah, man, you've been on the show a bunch of times, and you're always a guest on the show that we enjoy having. You were like on the show when I went to Italy and shit like that, man. There's a long history of the show, so I appreciate you, opening up about this album that you're releasing, Skyfall. How long have you been working on it?
It's been like a concept in the back of my head for like, I don't know, 2 years. Mm-hmm. I know when I came on and rapped to the fucking Pusha T beat, I mentioned it in there too.
Yeah.
I listed off like 3 projects, of which none have actually dropped yet. But yeah, it's been like in the back of my head for a while. But I'd say honestly putting the work into it probably within like the last 6-7 months. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, the one of the, probably before we get into it more, I wanted to ask about Feast or Famine, right? That was another one that there was a whole release party, but it hasn't come out yet.
Whole release party, whole tour. Nah, it's chilling, man. Yeah, it'll come when it comes,
Yeah, just about letting the stuff come out naturally.
Yeah, and there's a couple last things we really want to like tie off, really square this one away.
Nice. So the name Skyfall, why did I know that there's been themes of like airplanes and like being in the air and in your past projects. So why Skyfall for this one? Skyfall
was supposed to like be like a thematic follow up to Turbulence. Mm-hmm. And then once around the time we made Wilson Street, me and Mikey had handed me a couple beats, one of which became Keep Pushing. And I kind of felt like the connection between that and the Skyfall project I was formulating in my head. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't think it's going to work as a follow-up to Turbulence. Mm-hmm. It's its own thing, and Mikey's going to make all the beats.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, but the name itself is actually from the West Side Boogie and Black song.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've heard that song. So Skyfall, Mikey, how did you start working with him?
Mikey, I mean, he's been rapping with me for years. He got introduced to me through another friend who, we're falling out. We don't really hang out with him, but Mikey ended up being a lot more talented than the other guy, and I kind of just stuck with him, kept pushing him. He's always willing to learn and push himself. He hasn't been feeling rap lately, but he felt the creative spark to make beats and nailed a bunch out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Like he's usually rapping, so it's cool that he did he did all the beats for Skyfall.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
I made all of them.
You sending me Keep Pushing like a long time ago.
Yeah,
before even
that one. It was supposed to be for Wilson Street, and we didn't touch it in like the sessions. So I kind of just pulled up some beats one day, just fucking around with stuff. And I was like, yo, what are you planning to do with this one? He's like, nothing. It's yours. So I send him back the song, and he's like, all right, cool. Let's drop it. And I was like, sweet. And at that time, that was just a Lucy. Yeah. But it ended up being what sparked Skyfall.
Nice. And at the time of this recording, we're recording in the middle of April. It hasn't dropped yet, the project, but you just performed it last weekend. How was that?
It was awesome, man. It was a really good lineup. We even had the Doobie Dean, who's like the owner of FTG. Yeah. And I didn't know he like also rapped until he went up there, and I was like, that dude's pretty sick. But we had the homie Arm the Poet come from Oceanside, Vista. He corrected me when I said that last time. There was a bunch of homies, and like it really came out really well. It was a lot better turnout than I thought would happen the day before Easter. Mm-hmm. And I think the people who came really reacted to the project well. It was different than most of my performances because a lot of mine are just like super energetic, yelling, jumping around, braggadocious, fuck you rap. Mm-hmm. And this was a lot more like personal, more, I got a story to tell, and you may or may not stick around to listen to it.
Yeah.
But they did.
Nice.
There was one girl who yawned in the crowd, so I called her out.
You did?
Yeah. I don't think she liked it. But.
Was it late or was it like reasonable?
I mean, by the time I was up there, it was like 11:20, so I understood. I was just like, "You look tired." She was like embarrassed, and I was like, "It's cool, I get it. It's late. It's late."
You look tired. So in terms of the subject matter, like you said, you had a story to tell. And you told me leading up to this that this was about the passing of your grandfather, and even the intro, the first song, like it started. You say that at the beginning that you feel sad about, or what is the lyric about? You regretting.
It hurts to know my wife will never meet my grandpa.
Yeah.
At the show, I fucked it up. The first line I said, it hurts to know my mom will never meet my grandma. It's like the fifth bar is about my mom, and I fucked it all up. And I don't think anybody noticed except my mom.
Yeah. She's like, what? Yeah. So it's been 8 years since he passed away. Well, why did you decide to write about this now?
I think a lot of it definitely was sparked by the big fucking, what's Kendrick's album called?
Oh, Mr. Morale, the Big Stepper?
Yeah, I was gonna flip it the other way. That, like, just seeing the willingness to be vulnerable in that sparked a lot of that in me. I think also turning 30 this year, it's just like, seems like a big milestone, you know?
Yeah.
And then quitting the job at Petco, just a bunch of shit changed, and I was like, well, this is a good time to, like, search for growth, you know?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like feelings I hadn't really addressed, I guess, internally. Because when he passed, we were on the plane out here from Virginia to see him, so I never got to see him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What impact did he have on your life?
For the longest time, he was like a real like father figure because my real dad was never around. And then as my brother's dad came about, he was in and out of our lives a lot. It wasn't until my sister's dad came around, who's my stepdad, who I consider my dad, that we really had a solid father figure. So, like, my grandpa kind of took that spot. And so not really getting to say bye was hard, you know?
Yeah. I can relate to that in a sense because so my dad passed away in 2009. And he was always sick on and off, like he had kidney problems, so he'd be in and out of the hospital. So the last time that he was sick, I thought like he was gonna get better, and so I never really I separated myself a little bit from him because I just didn't want to deal with the emotions of like worrying about that he was sick because I always knew he got better, and then that was the one time that he didn't. So it's like I know holding on to that like. And though I did get a chance when he was in the hospital bed before they took him off life support to tell him like, thank you. It just, obviously he was you don't know that he was in a coma, so he didn't respond. So it's like there's a way to get that goodbye without the person having to like necessarily hear it or like be there. And it's just about processing it. And, and so did you find yourself like, dealing with those emotions as you were writing the songs?
Yeah, definitely a lot. Like, not even just the emotions of not having the chance to have said goodbye, but like the emotions of him having been there growing up. And like, it was the good and the bad. Yeah. And I feel like the album, there's a lot of that, not just in this situation, but in a lot of the situations I cover. But it was definitely cathartic. Mm-hmm. It was good to like talk about some of these things. Even if it wasn't to somebody, because a lot of the sessions, me and Mikey weren't even in together. Mikey would send me a beat, so I would just be in there by myself. And I don't know, sometimes that's easier. But I feel like it was a really good processing exercise.
Nice. And then you said like it wasn't just it was there other themes in there too that you covered in the album?
Yeah, there's a lot of different. I would say overall, a lot of the stories are about just separation between people, whether like I would say in that sense it was a separation by death. You know, he passed away. But I've talked about like people who used to be like best friends with me, who I had issues with, ex-girlfriends, just cover a lot of stuff that's happened within like the last, I'd say 10 years, not 8, little before he passed away, but yeah.
Yeah. I guess just, you know, growing up from being from 20 to 30, like you said, it's just your life changes. Because even though we've had different lives, I feel like there is a lot of loss that I've had too. Like people just fade away in your life.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a matter of like growing up but how do you deal with that? Like obviously like losing friends, losing people you care about in different ways. Like how do you deal with the loneliness of it sometimes?
It's hard, man, but you know, like you still find those like key few people, you know, like my wife. And as I've grown up, my mom has been like, our relationships got really good. I can count on my brother and my sister, which, you know, like even in the album I said not all family is blood, so I'm not saying like all my family, but I've got really good connection with them. I've got really good friends. I consider you guys really good friends too.
Yeah.
So there's just people you can depend on, and you know, at some point you just gotta learn to accept that not everything's permanent. You know, people come, people go.
Yeah. And it's tough too, because I deal with that too, where I'm like, oh, like I really want to hang out with people, and then they're not available. But at the same time, I'm like, well, when am I available too?
Yeah.
You know, like life gets really crazy as you get older. The responsibilities just keep growing.
Yeah.
So when you perform the songs, or even now, like when you're listening to them, do you still get the same emotion, or is it just kind of like healed a little bit?
I'd say when I performed it was probably the like most cathartic experience, even more than putting it together, because like I like to, I mean, obviously perform, but like I'm very expressive with my performances, whether it's energy, face. So I feel like I take a little bit of edibles to really get into it before too. Yeah. But I just feel like I really like sunk in to what I was saying. Whereas, especially like the last month or so, listening to it, I'm not really listening for the lyrics. I'm listening to hear like the mix. Mm-hmm. So I haven't really been paying attention too much to that. I've been trying to flesh out what sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of like the technical aspects of it, you did all the mixing yourself?
Yeah.
Nice. How long did that take?
You know, as of the recording, I'm still finishing that up.
Yeah.
Just got like some mastering, but recording, mixing, mastering, I'd say probably like a total of, I don't know, I want to say like a month and a half.
Yeah. Because like something that I've asked people that like do it, you know, primarily as their thing, like it's just subjective, right? It's like how you want. There's obviously a good way to hear it. It has to sound clear and stuff, but it's how you want it to come out, right?
Yeah, there's no right or wrong way, but you know, there's a clear bad mix.
Yeah, we know what that sounds like.
Yeah, I've made quite a few in the years of doing this, but as working with Andy and like kind of learning over his shoulder, and working with Mellow Thing, learning over them, I've kind of like picked things up.
Yeah. Some great people that you're mentioning.
Yeah, legends.
So speaking of that, like, what are the features that you got on here?
Well, YBG is like a intro feature. I don't know if you could really consider it a feature.
I consider it because it's cool how he starts it off.
Yeah, he told me he always wanted to be a weatherman, so I told him to do some Chicken Little type shit.
Yeah.
He did the little Skyfall intro before the beat drops. We got Eddie Rotten. Me and him, we got together to work on a song for a sync opportunity, and it didn't end up working out. But I was like, why not work on something that we could actually use in case this doesn't work out? So I was like, I got this song, and at the time it was me and 2 verses and no open. It was just a 2-verse song, and I was like, I'll stretch this out, let you get in the middle. And he laid it down real quick. And the thing about Eddie is anytime we perform, he forgets about the song until until I remind him. Yeah. So he forgot that he was even on that song multiple times.
He told me too the day that he was going to perform that song. I saw him earlier before the show.
Yeah, because he went over it.
Yeah. He was trying to work on that. But back to White BG's his intro. So he's talking about the sky is falling. Is that like a theme too, like the idea that like the world is falling apart, like in your head?
I think not necessarily the world, but it's kind of like at the time, it was my world, and not necessarily for a bad thing. I was leaving the job I had, and I was changing career paths. I was deciding I was going to go a different lane with music, and over the past couple of years, like losing people and just things change, and sometimes the sky falls. And I feel like it was appropriate, especially this year, because there was so much rain, and it just kind of worked out,
Yeah, still, like, I don't even know when it's going to end. I do find, like, sometimes so before, a year ago, I was thinking about leaving my job, the one that I had for a long time, and I ultimately did do that. But Carla and I, we did a tarot reading, and we got one of those cards that said basically everything's going to fall apart. And it was like a little bit ominous, and we're like, what does that mean? And then when I finally left the job, like, it kind of did, like, the way that I left, it was because things kind of fell apart because of the pressure that everything had been under. But do you feel like once, not obviously, you lost people and that's bad, but once that you go through all those things, like, it's kind of cool to have that fresh start, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, what's the phrase? April showers bring Mayflowers.
Mm-hmm.
It falls, but something comes out of it always. There's a brighter thing on the other side.
Yeah, and like the people that you have in your life right now, like you said, your wife, like they're people that that they're gonna be there with you for the long run.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Like, so it's cool to know at least the foundation that you have is still strong. So who else do you want to say had helped you, shape who you are today for this first project?
Damn.
I know it's a big question.
That's a big question. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I do owe a lot to my mom. She's always been there for me, even when we were like button heads, getting kicked out. My brother, my sister, my cousin Nix. I mentioned him in the last song. He had a baby, and it's just cool seeing him grow up to be the dad that neither of us had, Yeah. And his baby's the fucking cutest thing. She was at the show. We kept her in like the alleyway, so she wasn't like hotbox. Oh, yeah. Anytime she could hear people cheering, she was like, woo! The music would start and she'd be like...
That's funny.
Yeah, so, man, there's a lot of people who've helped me be who I am.
Yeah. Nice. Shout out to FTG for providing that location.
Absolutely. I felt like that was like the perfect place too. It's a very intimate venue, and like I feel really like the people who run the place are homies because they hit me up to do it. They actually hit me up to do another show soon too. So
nice. Let's talk about the track list. Thank you for including me in the progress of,
yeah, man,
sequencing it. Yeah,
you're a legend.
Thanks. Yeah. I saw it when you told me. I was like, hell yeah! Like it's like making a playlist, but the songs are already selected for you. You just gotta like tell a story with what you got. So let's go through this. The Skyfall intro. Just whatever comments you want to make about each song. So this one for sure was gonna start. That was the one you told me for sure it's gonna start. Yeah. It's called the intro, but what made you decide to make it that?
Mikey sent me a beat, and he's like, this sounds like an intro. I was like, all right, so I'll just write bars straight through. And I feel like it starts off on, like, the more somber side, talking about my wife never meeting my grandpa, my mom and dad splitting up. But then it gets to, like, more shit-talky stuff as, like, the beat builds, and... I like that one. It's a cool little opening. I was thinking of doing like a stripped down version at the show, but I decided against it.
You just did the regular version. Did you have YBG do the intro?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he went up there and he's like, I got a little part on this, so we're gonna do it. It was cool.
Back to that feeling of like the people that you care about, like you said, your wife never meeting your grandpa. It's just I think about that too, like with Carla and my dad, like you want the people to know how special they were in your life.
Yeah, so exactly.
It's just, but you even if you don't believe in like the traditional idea of heaven, I feel like the energy is still there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And the way that we carry ourselves, like, and the way we are, it kind of carries on the legacy.
Their memory too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the next track on here, Who? Talk a little bit about Who.
Yeah, that's the one with Eddie Rotten. That one. Mikey had just sent me like some hard shit, and I was trying to flesh out something that could be hard, but also like fit the album, and just the idea of who's gonna put the work in but me. And the idea just fell through like that. Originally, it was just me on the song, and then Eddie came for that session, and I put him on it. Yeah. And Goons is the homie; he jump on whatever.
It's true. He's so like versatile.
Yeah, we got some other shit coming up that's completely different.
Nice. I believe that, and I've seen the work that he's doing with Eric Young right now, and like he's
just everybody. He's always in a studio.
Like every project, like even on Specs' album, like he'll pop up, and you're like, damn, like he just adds that extra thing you need.
Yeah, Goons.
I put that second too because I was like, you start with the intro, but then you want to keep the momentum going with some hard shit,
and slap them in the face.
Yeah. And then Ego, is that Le Emciore? That's the one that
that's Ish. That's the homie. That one was cool. Mikey had sent me a beat like an hour before Ish pulled up, and he was originally going to be on Law, but we ended up having him. He did 2 verses, but I was like, I only want 1 feature, so I'm gonna keep you on this one. But I pulled up the beat. At the time, it was an 8-bar loop. And I was like, Mikey sent me this if you're feeling it. And he's like, let's do it. And we laid out a whole song. And Mikey texted me like hours later. He's like, you ever check that beat out? And I was like, you ever check the song out that we made to it? But it was cool. Like it just fell together. And Ish like said he wanted some like Future type auto-tune. So I was like, all right, turn the auto-tune on. Yeah.
And then 1023. Why did you call it 1023?
That's my birthday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's all about growing up and like, turning 30 this year. Yeah.
How do you feel as a 30-year-old? Did it change? Like, did you feel different?
Not yet. I don't think so. I feel like more than anything, the people around me are more excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, you're turning 30, and I was like. Yeah. Another year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely one of those, I guess, like societal milestones,
Yeah. Yeah. When I turned 30, I turned 30 in June of last year. It was like one of those things where it's like, okay, like it's a number, but at the same time, like, yeah, I'm 30. Like I should have my shit together mentally, at least at this point, and fake it till you make it. Like I was like, I do. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I kind of really do. Like I don't have to pretend anymore, you know? And you just come into your own, like who you really are. Like I feel like at this point you find not necessarily like what you want to do, but like the person you are.
For sure, yeah. I feel like a lot of the 22 to 30 was that like soul searching, so to say,
figuring it out.
Yeah.
And then next on the track list, Keep Pushing.
Yeah, the single.
Yeah.
That one just kind of like, again, kind of came to me while I was sitting there. I think I had put together Urges the same day, so it was like really different.
Two different
songs, and I was just kind of like experimenting with different stuff. I thought about like making an extended version for the album. I still might because I haven't submitted it just yet, so we'll see. Nice. But that one was cool. I thought I was trying to get Mikey to rap on it, but he's very adamant about taking a break on rapping right now.
He would have fit good on that. I don't know. I mean, because I guess the themes that you covered, I feel like there's like a melancholy vibe that comes from a lot of these tracks, and that was one of the ones too that it felt.
That's like Mikey's thing.
Yeah, Mikey's thing. So yeah, Keep Pushing, definitely a standout on there. Law, L-A-W.
Yeah, Loyalty Always. That's one of the ones where I had the idea for the song well before like the beat or like the lyrics. I was listening to Drink Champs, I think. Mm-hmm. Can't remember who they were interviewing, but he said loyalty one way is stupidity. Yeah. And I was like, damn, like that's so like surface level, but also so like
true.
Yeah. And I wrote that down in my notes for what I wanted to talk about in the album because I kind of had just like a list of topics I wanted to cover. And then as it came to Mikey sending me the beat, I was kind of like juggling what words fit best. And it was going to be loyalty one way, but that just didn't fit in an acronym. Mm-hmm. So I just changed it to loyalty always. Yeah. So it would be law.
Yeah, and still the same thing, like both ways, always, like that's what it implies. Head high. What about head high?
Head high. That one was a fun one. Mikey sent me the beat, and that one was, I think, at the time it was a little more fleshed out than just an 8-bar loop. So I had like some sort of structure to go off. And originally it was just supposed to be a smoking song. Mm-hmm. So it was about a head high. But I started just kind of like freestyling ideas, and that one came out to be a lot about like the best friend I had at the time moving from Virginia back out to here, who had a falling out with. He like really couldn't take that I just didn't want to hang out with him anymore, as he was getting into some bullshit. And then he was telling my mom I was like selling drugs to people, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
He told the girl I was dating I was cheating on her, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
She destroyed like $800 worth of Pokemon cards
because of that.
Yeah,
that
you know,
lie.
I can't necessarily blame her.
Yeah.
But like, I wish I had those cards.
Yeah, that sucks.
But yeah, so that song covered like a lot of like the past. Well, not the past, but the last couple months before moving back out here and the falling out with him, just like him trying to fight me at a park, telling me he was gonna catch me the next time he saw me, and I was like, right here in front of you.
Yeah.
This is the next time.
So he's in a dark place. Is he still in that place?
You know, the last I talked to him, he hit me up randomly to tell me happy birthday. Surprisingly or not, like his birthday is the day after mine, so I think he was kind of like fishing for that. Yeah. As far as I know, everyone that I know doesn't talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
Last I saw any of his social media accounts, his like avatar was all blacked out and stuff. And then, you know, I talk about in the album, like I was hoping something like that would happen. So, you know, it's not all growth. You know?
It's true. Yeah.
Sometimes I still wish the worst.
I mean, yeah, it's a journey, right? Like you're not going to be that perfect, person now. Like it's all about learning and growing as you go.
One day, maybe.
Yeah. And you just strive for that, like I said. Yeah. And then the track. So this was cool. This caught me by surprise because I saw. I thought I read this initially as means to quit my job, but it's two different tracks.
It's two different songs, and I'm still like juggling whether or not I'm gonna like list "Quit My Job" as like a song on the track list, or it's just gonna show up at the end. Yeah, means to me. I had done a show. I think it was with Mellow Thing at Unmodern Industries. Mm-hmm. I think that was the show. Or it was the one before
the
that.
Park one?
And I was just up there thinking, damn, like the reaction of people like vibing with my shit, just like, I don't know if there's much that means more to me than like this feeling. And I kind of was thinking, I want a song where I can like express that live. Mm-hmm. And that fell into place, and Quit My Job was the beat for Means to Me. First, because Mikey made like 2 beats with similar loops, but he didn't save the beat he made for Quit My Job before he changed it. And I was like, all right, fuck it, dude. I'm going to loop what I got and make a fucking like quick 16, 8-bar, whatever it is, song at the end. So that fell together, and it means to me, like, I feel like really fleshes out the more positive stuff on the album. I talk about Nixt and his daughter, but I also talk about like family that I necessarily don't, or well, family members I don't necessarily consider family. So it's like a lot of just this position I'm in means a lot to me, you know? And like the person I've become because of the good and the bad means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And then I feel like Quit My Job just really like was a cool little vibe to end it with.
It was perfect. Like that's why I did it. I was like,
and I got to quit my job like 4 days after I made that song. It was great. It was great.
So yeah, it's a really great project. So 8/9 tracks because of the last, you might want to do like don't list it and just make it. People be like, oh shit,
it just comes out of nowhere.
So I'm sure like because of the Quit My Job and ending the way it is, I feel like it's not like it just feels like there's a more story to tell, and so there's a continuation of, obviously you're going to be releasing more music.
Of course, yeah.
What are you looking forward to creating now that you're finishing this one?
Hey man, me and Mello got another album coming. I got a couple projects. Hopefully some new Vista Cave stuff, man. I'm really excited about some new Vista Cave stuff. Nick's told me he's like trying to lean more into show promoting, so I don't know if we're gonna get any new Vista Nicks soon. Mikey wants a Skyfall too, so
Nice.
And then there's Wilson Street too, which just needs to kind of have a couple of things tied away. So there's a lot of stuff,
Yeah, whenever we talk to you on the show, you're always talking about how you have so much stuff planned out already.
Yeah, so it's all about the execution.
And then for Skyfall, you wanted to make a few videos, right? What are you thinking of making?
So we're thinking the first video will probably be for Ego, because that's going to be, well, depending on when this drops, either it was the single that just dropped or it's the next single. But yeah, we're thinking of doing that and hopefully having that out the day the album drops, and then just kind of seeing how it performs to whatever comes next.
Yeah. Have you made videos before?
I've made a few, but that's like where I lack the most, probably.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a tough one too, because it's more like, because the way that videos are digested these days, like music videos, it's either like a classic or like nobody cares. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like very, very like hefty cost for very little ROI.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough for an artist.
I think the last one I made was for Monologue.
Oh yeah. Damn. So is there anything else you want people to know about Skyfall?
Just to listen, man. Hear me out.
All right. Well, hopefully, when are you planning? Do you want to release this video? When are they gonna? Is it gonna be out? The album out already, or are you just gonna be like teasing the album?
Maybe we'll tease you guys a little.
All right.
Tickle, tickle.
So coming soon, Skyfall. Kid Vista, thank you for sitting down with me.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
And check them out at Kid Vista on Instagram, and various appearances on the Rodriguez Show.
All of them.